Good morning. It's Market Day Report. We're so glad you're with us to start another trading day. Now, it could get interesting today. We had some all-time highs made in markets yesterday. Will we see more of that today? Talk about it in just a moment. Right now, let's see how corn fared in the overnight session. Look at that big movement there, less than 2 cents in the trade range for the December. That tells you that there's really no desire to try to push the market higher or lower. It's just where it is, 4.12 1/4. It's down 3/4 of a penny. Soybean trade overnight, 7-cent trade range, and down 2 1/4 at 10.04 1/4. Wheat market. You know, we're looking at 5-year lows on the wheat market as we wrapped up yesterday. December, 4.95 3/4, down 4.5 as that slipped below that $5 level. 5.37 out on the new crop July. December hard red at 4.84.5. It was off 4. July new crop at the bottom of the range. 5.34 3/4 off 3 1/4. Spring wheat, Minneapolis, mostly higher. And finally, the cotton market, 63.38, down 13. Brian Hoops is president, Midwest Market Solutions. Is that a good way to describe the corn market? Really just has nowhere to go. Can't go higher, can't go lower.
Yeah, it does seem to be drifting here, maybe even lower as we progress with harvest. So Bloomberg did a survey yesterday, as they normally do, for our crop progress numbers. And they showed corn harvest is expected to be about 45% complete. Soybeans should be around 60% complete, and winter wheat harvest about 65. Now that's in place of the USDA numbers. So we're just kind of estimating where we would be for this time of year normally. That's pretty close to normal as far as progress goes. And tells us, from a seasonal pattern, a lot of times we start to put in lows around this time frame and then start to move higher. I do think we have a lot of overrun this year, a lot of crop that's going to be stored, of course. A lot of it's going to end up being sold because we just don't have room for it on our on-farm storage. It gets taken into town, maybe converted into cash. Certainly that's going to weaken the basis and probably weigh on the futures as well. But then also you'll have opportunities to re-own that back on paper if you choose to. So it is going to put a little pressure against our values, could force that corn to kind of drift lower. There's some technical support around 405, 406 that I wouldn't be surprised for December corn to go test as we continue with this government shutdown, the lack of any bullish inputs, and values just continuing to grind lower. So, corn market was the one that was probably hurt the worst from the government shutdown because we had some of the most bullish news in the corn market. Export sales were very good. Private export sale announcements 3-4 times a week. We have expectations we're going to see much lower corn yields in the supply and demand report that was washed out. Today, we will have a NOPA crush report, and that's expected to be pretty bullish. So it could be strengthening for bean oil, maybe a little weak for soybean meal, but that crush could be all-time record for the month of September.
All right, good points there, Brian. Hang on, we'll take a break, be back in a moment. We'll talk livestock futures and all-time highs. Market Day Report continues in a moment. So mentioned earlier, all-time highs in 4 different markets. Let's talk about the first 2. Live cattle futures yesterday hitting another all-time high. The April contract, you'll see that on the bottom left-hand side, 250.37. That's an all-time high for live cattle futures. Now, the December contract at 246.60 was $1.85 higher across the board, and that's 8 straight sessions higher for live cattle. 8 straight sessions higher for feeders, including the November, which hit a new all-time high of 382.80. It settled at 381.95, up 522. Notice the $5 gain on October at 380.50. And let's bring in Brian Hoops, president of Midwest Market Solutions. I'm looking at the all-time highs here, but what about that October contract?
Yeah, so we didn't hit new highs in the October, but we've started to rally back near our old highs. And as the futures market has rallied, the cash hasn't really kept up. We didn't see much in the way of cash trade last week. We haven't seen anything this week. We expect to see some here this week, maybe even as early as today, because the South looks like they carried over some of their cattle. But we did see some deliveries overnight, about 10 contracts delivered against the October futures. First time we've seen that against the October board. And the last time we saw deliveries, we actually saw a pullback in the futures or a little correction in the futures market. Kind of spooked, I think, some of the trade. And as you mentioned, 8 straight days higher. That may be enough to say we're definitely overbought. We could have a correction here just because we're going to have one with the deliveries as kind of an excuse to do that. But overall, it looks like the cash markets want to remain stronger this week. Cutout values have kind of stabilized, which is what the Packers were intending with their cut in the slaughter rates, and show this number is a little bit tighter. So we do look for cash trade when it develops to be at probably in that 240 plus range in the Southern Plains, and we should see stronger money on a dress basis as well.
Okay, and quickly, let's jump over to the hog market. And lean hogs in the trade yesterday were lower with that December contract at 83.12. It was $1.72 lower. So we'll see where the hogs go on 2-month lows right now. Finally, want to hit gold and silver, and trading 41.70 on the gold right now. Brian, looking at silver and that October at 51.07. By the way, new all-time highs in both of those markets yesterday. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, gold has actually taken out yesterday's highs to move to new all-time highs again this morning. Silver has not quite yet, but that's a really strong market when you see 50 plus dollars on the silver board, as we are seeing more strength and more money just continue to pile into those markets. Stock market also up sharply here, while the U.S. dollar is a little bit softer this morning. And we're looking to see if that dollar goes back and checks its breakout point around 98.30 on the charts. That was where it broke out to the upside. It may go back and check it here in the next several days.
Yeah, we finished there with the silver was beside you. 49.51 had been the long-standing all-time high for the silver market, and obviously we blew right past that. Brian, great to see you. Brian Hoops is with Midwest Market Solutions. So